Well, good morning to you. August bank holiday. Where's it? My gosh, it's getting a bit cooler now, I believe. But then there we are, better than too hot, I suppose. I hope everybody's all right, enjoying the day off. If you've got a chance to have a day off, go on out beach, but later on it's going to clear up. Going to be lovely. Now I've only got a couple of birthdays today. Well, they aren't today. They were yesterday's. Wendy Gauntlet was a dear friend of mine. It was her birthday yesterday, and down the road here was Grant Goodman. I hope you both had a fantastic day. I suppose there are people got birthdays today, but I don't know who they are. Anyway, happy birthday to everybody. Now I'm going to do one here, another Herbert Lean one called Harvest Home. Every man, woman, and child for miles around were out in the harvest field. The weather had been hot for days, and the harvest was good. They were singing, all is safely gathered in, and the reapers, with sweat still on their brow, stood on the large mound in the field, with the old farmer in the centre. He had cut the last sheaf. Flowers were tied round it, and he held it up, and he repeated what is known as crying a neck. I have him, I have him, I have him, he shouted. What have he? What have he? What have he? Chanted the workers. A neck, a neck, a neck, he replied. After this ceremony, the sheaf was taken to the barn and hung over the door after last year's had been removed. The harvest home was to be held the same evening. This was a great event, and the stories were still told of last year's celebrations. All the farmers in the adjoining farms were invited and their families. The fiddler had been engaged the day before. Roasting and baking had been going on all day, and everything was ready for the feast. The barn where the harvest home had been held for generations was swept clean and whitewashed. Long tables were placed all length and loaded with the good old Cornish fare. The labourers with their wives and children were drifting in, all dressed in their Sunday best. Most of the men's suits were smelling of camphor, always used to keep away the moths, for they were only worn to an occasion like this or a funeral. The maidens had spent quite a time in dressing for many a match that had been at a harvest home. Mother of Heather and Richard Denny had just come in. Welcome to we, shouted the farmer. There's plenty of room up here. Oh, comes up top end of the table, said Feather, amongst the bettermost farmers. Sides, we'll get served quicker. The great joints of roast beef were all now in all steaming hot, and grass was sung. The loud talking soon died down as they were being served, and only the cows underneath could be heard as they moved in their stalls. Don't eat much tatters, remarked Mother. You can get plenty home. Granny had not missed a harvest home for 60 years, and was sitting in an old armchair at one end of the table. She'd been brought in during the afternoon, as she could not be moved when the tables were set. Have some pickles, Granny? Asked the man sitting opposite, who had noticed she was not eating much. I got one in my mouth now, she said, and I can't catch 'em because I only got one tooth. Fill up your glasses, gentlemen. There's another barrel ready to come in, shouted the farmer. Feather, that's 4 glasses you've had already. You won't be able to dance. Oh, I haven't started yet. 'Tis only once a year, and you get a feast like this, answered Feather. At last all agreed they could not eat any more, so the farmer at the head of the table rose to make his usual speech. He had not eaten much on account of helping the others, but he'd been drinking all evening. He had to hold on to the table for support, and said, "Ladies and gentlemen," and sat down again. The crowd around and understood and sang, for he's a jolly good fellow. It all went so well as they sang it over and again. The farmer tried to rise again, but sank slowly down under the table. This was the signal for the tables to be cleared for the games and dancing. New candles were placed round on the walls, and the fun commenced. The fiddler, a little hunchback man from up Church Town, got up one end of the barn and tuned his fiddle. He was also the master of the ceremonies. Sir Roger, he called, and the dancers lined up in their places. Ready, he shouted. Hold hard, called the feather. Anybody got a safety pin? I've been and scat off 2 buttons. One of the ladies supplied a pin, and they started. Not a mistake was made. Even Richard Henry remembered his turn. Loud clapping followed, and the fiddler was given a quart jug of beer instead of a pint. As the evening proceeded, the barn grew hotter and the dancing more furious. Halt! Shouted the fiddler. Time for a change, as everyone sank in their seats. I'm boiling. Some hot, isn't it? Said Mother. Feather and most of the men had now taken off their collars, coats, and waistcoats. I'll tie a piece of string to the sleeves of my coat, said Feather, to know on again, for last year I went home with somebody else's. Games, cried the young people. We want games. All right, shouted the MC, jumping up over the candle. A candle was placed on the floor in the centre of the room, and all the young ladies had to jump over it in turn. If they blew out the candle in doing so, in the result, would be that they would not be married in the following year. They all lined up in a row and at a given signal ran and jumped over the candle. All went well until one young lady, whom several of the lads wanted to take home after dance, refused to jump. The game was held up until she could be persuaded to try her luck. Twice she turned back and wouldn't jump. At the third time she went flying over the candle with 2 or 3 inches to spare. This caused loud cheering, and she was soon booked for the next dance. "Let's have forfeits," was next heard throughout the barn. So they all sat in a circle, and each in turn had to go in the centre and be asked and ask a riddle, and if unable to answer, had to pay a forfeit. Most of the riddles were well known and were answered promptly until it come to Richard Henry's turn. "What got 6 eyes and can't see?" he asked. The girl in the centre could not answer. "Three blind mice," shouted Richard Henry, and it was the only riddle for which a forfeit had to be paid. "Show us 4 naked legs," was the forfeit chosen by Richard Henry. "I only got two," replied the girl. "You can see them if you like," as she held up her skirt. This reply was received with much laughter as the girl went back to her seat. Beer was again passed around to the men and lemonade to the ladies. Singing followed the games and much enjoyed, for there were many that had good voices among them. The favourite song, "The Farmer's Boy," with all joining in the chorus, went well. Old Lang Syne finished the evening's entertainment, and all rushed for their hats and coats. Feather had to carry his because he could not unfasten the string that he had tied the sleeves together with. "I shan't be able to climb in bed, I'm that sore, but some handsome evening 'twas. Come on," said mother. Richard Henry had to lead Feather, for he had fallen down twice, and would keep on singing, "Good night, ladies, good night, ladies, we're going to leave you now." Okay, have a nice bank holiday.